Isn't it cute? It's very tiny. I usually order A5 sketchbooks. This is a little smaller than my postcard paper. It's an A6, but I am actually loving it. We're gonna start this little sketchbook together and just chat and hang out for a while. So yeah, let's go sketch. Hello and welcome back to another sketchbook session. Today I am starting my new Hahnemuhle toned watercolor sketchbook, which is actually gray paper. It's so cute and it fits in my pocket and yeah, just really enjoying it. Anyways, let's jump into the sketch session. I think what I'll do on the first page is just test out some of my materials that I like to use a lot. So some of my inks. I always start the sketchbook this way, just in case. And I also put the date. Wow, it's like not really coming off on this page for some reason. All right, let's just move on. Not sure what's going on with those pens, but typically to get over the fear of the first page, the fear of the blank page, I like to draw some familiar elements like mushrooms and trees and rocks and just like ease into it. In my last one, I started with a hobbit home, the front door, which is just something I love sketching. I don't know, it just like takes the pressure off of making something epic on the first page, and it's like, hey, welcome to my sketchbook. Keeping it casual here. Plus, it gets me loosened up to start off a sketch session like this. I think part of the reason right now I'm doing mushrooms is because I have a commission right now for a sort of fantasy forest spirit scene and they want mushrooms, glowing mushrooms, and I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be for an album cover, which is awesome. I'm like so honored when someone wants any of my art, but then especially when they want it on something important to them, like their album cover. That kind of blows my mind. So we're just gonna be sketching some trees. I just had a phone call come through, so I had to pause, but then also I decided to change the angle of the camera because it was kind of extreme before. It's been so nice out lately. I'm like, I really have that itch, that urge to be outside all the time, and painting outside, drawing outside. But the last few times I've actually gone out with my stuff, it's been really cold and windy. So even though it's gorgeous and the sun is out, I only last like 20 minutes. I basically need to just, there's like tape in the way of my drawing. Basically, I just need to remember to bundle up even though it looks gorgeous out, it's not quite ready for t-shirts and sandals. We're doing a like overgrown stump with lots of roots. Well, the focus is the roots. Should we add a bit of gouache or something? I was thinking this might just be a little sketch, but it might be fun to do a bit of color to really see. I'm actually like, I already just want to jump straight into the paint because I'm like, ooh, what is it gonna look like on the gray paper? So the reason I bought gray this time is because I bought the Hahnemuhle beige watercolor sketchbook and loved it with gouache. Actually, everything looked good on that sketchbook. And I was like, okay, cool. They have a gray one. Let's do it. Let's test it out. But I accidentally ordered a 4x6, or actually, I think this is like 3x5. It's really tiny. I thought I was getting an A5. So, but that's okay. I think it's cute. I'm gonna be able to carry it around. It fits in my pocket. So if anything, I have absolutely no excuse to not be sketching a lot more with a little sketchbook like this. Let's actually keep this first page with just pencil and ink, and we'll do some painting on the next pages. Yeah. How about we go with the... Oh, I didn't test this one out on the left side. This is the brush pen. Sorry, went silent for a little while there. But with the magic of editing, you have relaxing music. I cut my hair today. I always cut my own hair, but it had been quite a while and I cut about 4 inches off. So it's currently the shortest it's been in years, but still long. I'm a long hair person. It's funny, like Wolfie and I joke, like I tell him, don't ever come home without your beard. Mostly because he really looks like he's freaking 12 without his beard. So it would just be weird. And then he jokes that I'm never allowed to cut my hair short. And I get it, like, because when I think of, I've seen him with shorter hair and it changes how someone, it just changes someone so much. They almost seem like a stranger for a short while till you get used to it again. But short hair versus long hair is especially dramatic, a dramatic change. And I've had short hair in the past and I look so different. But yeah, it's our little joke. But also not really joking. Just go sleep on someone's couch till it grows back. Thanks. So we are apparently a couple weeks away from being out of the super strict lockdown. And I am so excited. I've mentioned it in the last sketchbook session. And I have plans, mainly just hiking and plein air plans. I mean, we do really want to visit the West Coast like as soon as we can. And now that we live further away from the West Coast, it's definitely a trip. We can't just go on a day. I mean, we could, but it would be like waking up at dawn and coming home at really, really late. But you know, we gotta make a weekend of it or something. So we have friends over there, or like Wolfie used to, we used to live over there and Wolfie used to work in Inverness, so like we have plenty of people we could visit, but we especially want to go in just for a while, I don't know, a couple days, camping over on the West Coast. Applecross is a really beautiful place to camp, and they actually have a campsite and you can rent little like not cabins, they're like little triangle huts. They have a tiny little heater in them and a plug for electricity, which is super convenient for me, especially because I charge a lot of equipment when I when I get a chance. But it's still remote enough where you feel, you know, you're in nature. But then we also like wild camping, or camping where there's not an actual campsite. But yeah, that's our plan at some point. And I would love to maybe camp near the coast, sort of closer to where we live. I don't know if that's a thing. Like, I know it's got to be windy on the coast, so you'd have to really plan it based on weather and probably get lucky. but it would be really cool. And then, of course, I am dying to explore the Cairngorms, which is a huge national park a little bit closer to where we live. And we did camp there once, but we didn't do any like mountain hikes or anything. But it was so beautiful just driving through that area. And we kind of go through there when we drive down to Glasgow. It's gorgeous. I mean, what am I saying? Anywhere I've ever been in Scotland is gorgeous, outside of the big cities. I mean, some of this is, Edinburgh isn't bad. It's beautiful with all the old architecture, but and even like little bits of some of the other bigger cities. But I'm not a city girl. I don't like it. I can only stand it for a short time. I feel trapped and just suffocating in the city. So we always choose more remote places. I think that's why, like, the last time we traveled, like really traveled, we did a road trip to Amsterdam. So we drove down through England, took the ferry over to France, and then we actually stopped in Bruges for 2 days and then went to Amsterdam for 2 days or something like that. And Bruges was really cool because it was like this old medieval city. Oh, it was amazing, actually. I think I have travel vlogs from there. I can't remember if I posted those. But anyway, it was magical. And then Amsterdam was also really cool, but there were so many more people, and I just felt, I don't know, I just didn't like it. It was cool, although also it was winter, so we were walking around in winter, freezing our butts off. So there were actually even less people there than it would have been in like higher tour season, but it was still too many people for me. So yeah, that's my issue when we travel. When I travel, I just want to be like, we can stop in a city here and there, that's cool, but I don't really want to stay in a city. I'd rather use a city as like a jumping off point and then go to the countryside or something more remote. And we actually never had our honeymoon. We had plans for it, and I even booked a lot of the stuff. We were planning on flying to Italy. I found like all these cheap things. Like our whole round trip plane ticket was £100. I was like, what? And I was doing Airbnbs and like all these, even camping and stuff along the way. We were gonna fly to Bologna and then drive down to the Amalfi Coast and back. And I think it was a week and a half total. And this was a few years ago. But then at that time, Wolfie's job downsized. And we were like, oh, nope, guess we're gonna stay home. And obviously, well, now he's recovered. He's got a great job and we're doing better. And we've been thinking like, when are we actually gonna ever do that? When are we gonna have our honeymoon? It's gonna be like 5 or 10 years into our marriage when we finally get to do it. So by then it'll be like a anniversary. But yeah, I had all these beautiful plans and locations that we were gonna stay that were definitely not in a city. We were gonna drive through a few cities, of course, because it's Italy, it's gotta be epic. And then stay in more of the countryside places. And there were some super creative, or maybe I should say unique, Airbnbs that I was really looking forward to. And then down near the Amalfi Coast, there were just so many cute places that with incredible views of the water for very affordable, because we were also going to do that in the not busy tourist season. Like not their full tourist season, so we were going to get deals because of that, as well as it would have been less crowded. Anyways, I'm rambling. What is even happening? Once again, I got to this point in the drawing and I don't even know how I got here. But that's one of the joys of having a comfort zone subject. You can just draw and paint without thinking. Anyways, I will be sure to bring you guys along when I take this little sketchbook outside with me. Maybe getting a tiny sketchbook is, like I said, it was not on purpose, but maybe it's a blessing in disguise that it'll encourage me to even just do little studies and sketches when I go out for my quick daily walks. This side of the paper, this page is glued down to the cover, so it's not really like reacting as the same as a normal page would on my pen, but this page has been really nice to draw on. The paper is cold pressed, I believe, but it's not super textured. It's got like just a little bit, so the ink flows smoothly, which is great. So I will let's see, I might do some white, maybe the charcoal white pencil, maybe a couple spots, or maybe the mushrooms, the glowing mushrooms. Yeah, let's do that. I've smudged it a little bit here and there, which is just something I tend to do. I'm so relaxed right now. I'm trying to remember I'm actually filming. Like, don't want to leave you guys in total silence. But then again, I enjoy watching sketching videos where it's just chill, you know? My new studio has been incredible for encouraging my business, my craft, my practice, everything, making more videos. It's so much easier to film in here. I can control the lighting so much better and set my tripods and everything up in whatever way I need them to, and oh, it's wonderful. So I hope that you guys have been enjoying the increased amount of content. I mean, I don't want to flood you guys with stuff. I want it to all be meaningful and not just like, I want quality over quantity, but I am able to create more just easily. So it's a bonus to the studio remodel. It wasn't really a remodel, it was like a makeover. So let's try the, this one, General's Charcoal White. I'm always afraid of breaking the tip because it's very fragile. So what I'm noticing already is that this sketchbook paper, the gray is very subtle. So, I mean, you almost can't even see that unless I turn it to a very specific angle. So I think what I'll be able to do, or what I should do if I want the white to really pop, is make sure the background is a little bit darker or faded somehow. Then this will be much more noticeable, but it's still very subtle. Like, I wonder if they make a darker gray. I think I would really like it if it was just 1 or 2 shades darker. Yeah, I won't really do much with the white on here because it's so subtle. Just little hints of it. I think I just, yeah, I've been smudging. It's probably should be working left to right, shouldn't I? Okay. Let's just call this one done, shall we? Pretty much let my gouache dry out that whole time. I kind of forgot about it. Should we do a full page spread or just one little study? I mean, it's so tiny. I don't even know. Like, I guess this, like I said, is gonna be, you know what this will be good practice for, is minimizing detail. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just drawing trees for now, and then we'll see where it takes us. Obviously now we have a stream involved, so there you go. I think what I'm painting is whatever I want to see. I want to see a warm summer forest with a little stream that I can dip my toes in. We can have a little picnic by the side. Okay, so what we're gonna do, this is the plan. I'm going to have this area be a little lighter, so the light's gonna pour through the forest and some light is gonna reflect on the water, and then, you know, it'll be a little darker on the upper left, and maybe shadows cast down over here. Yeah, so we'll just see how it goes. See how dry my gouache is. Let me spray it again. I don't really need to paint around all my objects, but I am because I want to remember where they are, basically. So yeah, I mean, gouache is opaque, so you can always cover whatever you've done. But then you lose your sketch if you paint too thick. So yeah, this is something I get comments on in my tutorials, is like, I don't, like, where's the sketch? So a lot of times I don't do a sketch, or if I do, like, I'll end up covering it with the first layer of paint, and then it's like people kind of get confused, or they lose their minds a little about not having a sketch. So I want to get better about preserving the sketch for a little bit longer, at least to show, like, okay, if you really need a sketch, this is how you can go about that. Which is just to kind of work in pieces. So yeah, so gouache is opaque, so we could just layer everything on and then build up our depth and stuff. But if you are really concerned with preserving your sketch, if you need that sketch, paint around your objects and mix enough color to fill in bigger areas. And then you, at some point, you're gonna get to a more, the first layer will be finished. You'll still kind of have an idea of where all your objects are, and then you can just build up the depth and the realism from there, however much you want to. I hope that made sense. Anyways, that's kind of my thought process. So even when I practice, sometimes it's just for myself to practice something, but then other times while I'm practicing that thing, I will also be practicing something that I know will help me improve as a teacher, or help me improve my content in some way. I kind of get more out of it then. So I am going to get a very light wash over this side. Oh god, way too much yellow. Need some of that white. See, now the white's popping off the page with the white gouache on there. Oh yeah. My brush was full of white paint, which is not necessarily what I want. no, too much. See, this is the problem with painting with almost dried gouache piles. Pieces of it will fall apart and get onto your brush and then not come out. Like you're only trying to pick up a little bit, but oh well, too bad. You have a ton now. Deal with it. You know what? I will deal with it, okay? I'll deal with it. Make it work. I'm gonna switch to my smaller brush now. So the one thing I'm thinking about as I do this is, how is the paper working? Like, is it performing admirably? Yes, it is, by the way. So I like to use different thicknesses here and there to see if it buckles or, yeah, it gives me any kind of weird problem. But so far, so good. I've used some really thick wash and I've used some thin washes, and so far it's doing great. I'm sure at the moment it looks quite crazy. So I have been using these Etcher watercolor brushes here and there, and one thing that happens a lot is the bristles separate as it starts to dry out, and sometimes that can be frustrating, but I've actually learned to really like that for a lot of things. For foliage, for forests, for instance, this background is, I can get all these little like scratchy marks, and the brush strokes sort of, I don't know, it just helps me create a really varied texture, varied look super easily. So I don't know if it's, for some people I'm sure that's a major downside, but for other situations you find that's really helpful. Yeah, I don't have to change my brush to get a certain, to make something happen, is what I'm saying. I can just let the brush dry out a little bit, let the bristles start to separate, and I automatically get that texture that I need. Something I kind of want to try is ink on gouache. Should we try that with this page? If I ruin it, I ruin it. It's fine. It's just a sketch. I'm just curious. Round brush time. More and more I've been enjoying using a round brush for my tree branches and just little marks that I need to make here and there. At times I just want to challenge myself and use a flat brush for the whole thing, and then other times I'm like, okay, let's like make life a little bit easier. Just use a round brush already. Do you guys ever do that? Like, give yourself rules while you paint, like, okay, this time you're only allowed to do this, or use these colors, or paint with this thing, just to see. I find it's actually really helpful to challenge myself in some ways. Other times I'm just annoyed, then I get frustrated and I want to stop. Something I love about forest scenes is that there's always a point in the painting where it looks nuts. Like, what is happening? What are you doing? But then it slowly starts to resolve itself, or you resolve it, obviously, as the artist. I resolve it, I should say. And it's so satisfying. Doesn't always work out exactly as I wanted to. Actually, it rarely does. I swear, more often than not, I'm surprised by my results. It's like, how the heck did I do that? Or I know how I did it because I just did it, but it's like, I didn't see that coming. A lot of times that's, especially when I try new colors or placing colors in areas I normally wouldn't place them. It's really fascinating. I'm really glad people enjoy looking at my art and watching my art come to life. That's something that blows my mind still. Honestly, yeah. It's humbling. It's a true honor that someone wants to spend their time with me in that way. Something really strange about painting on toned paper, I find, with gouache anyway, is that, okay, the paper is a tone of some kind. It's either beige or gray or whatever. And that encourages me to use a negative painting technique. Like with watercolor, you preserve the color of the paper and let that color show through to be your highlight. And the toned paper does that to me mentally. It's so strange. But, you know, with gouache, you typically don't paint in that way. You paint opaquely, or like the paper isn't as important, the color of the paper. So it's just it's a challenge actually. I have to decide at some point in the painting, like, am I letting any of that paper show through? Does it matter? Do I need it? What am I doing? I have to figure that out. It's easier if you figure it out sooner rather than later, obviously. Having a solid plan of action in a painting is always helpful. But I like to experiment a lot with my technique. Something that works now might not work in like a month if I progress to a certain point, or yeah, like it's I feel like it's ever evolving. Sorry, I have to tilt the paper sometimes to see so the light doesn't glare on the wet gouache. I hope it's not too distracting. I zoned out. Sorry about that. After this, I am planning on, at some point this week, I have to do lots of bookkeeping. Oh God, I dread that part of business. Taxes and bookkeeping. Ugh. But it's necessary. You know, definitely can't escape that. I think, well, I know I'm not alone in, like, if I could change one thing about being self-employed, it would be that I wouldn't have to deal with those things. And someday I hope I'll be able to hire someone to do all my bookkeeping and taxes and everything. At the moment, I do my own bookkeeping to save money, and once a year I pay someone to help file my taxes. But that's also because I have to file in the US and in the UK. Yay! So I deal with 2 tax systems. Even if I have to file a $0 return in the US, I still have to file. Yeah, don't even get me started on that. But anyway, that's one thing I would definitely change. And I hope to someday. But it's been, every time I sit down to do bookkeeping and such, I look out the window and it's so enticing. It's calling to me. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just go for like a quick walk, or oh, I'll just go do one little plein air painting. And then hours pass. And then it just builds up and builds up and builds up in the background, and I know I'm getting behind, and this is clearly a very intensely stylized painting. just thinking about those beautiful areas of the forest that are almost glowing, because there's dark bits of the forest and bright bits, and those bright bits are what pulls me in, and that's always what I want to paint when I'm out there too. It's like just pure magic. And if you've been around my channel for a while, you know how much I love fantasy art, and for a while I stopped doing a lot of fantasy art, but I've been getting back into it with like a lot of my personal work. I love painting forest spirits and very fantasy landscape scenes, fantasy inspired. So either the subjects in the scene are not based purely in our reality, or the colors are otherworldly or something like that. I love that. And so yeah, this, when the forest has that kind of lighting, it's so inspiring. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see like a little forest spirit there. There needs to be a bit more darkness. Over here. What is this? I don't even know what this is. Why am I painting around it? Silly Sarah. Originally, I think it was a moss-covered rock in my head, but clearly it became something other. Have quite a few people who like these kinds of videos. They like just having a background sketch friend, which I love myself. I watch a lot of videos like that. I have to admit it's a bit hard to do this style of video because when no one else is in the room with me, I just tend to be silent and sketch and paint, and I'll like hours will pass and I'll just be totally in the zone. I'll talk to my cats and stuff, but when I'm just speaking to the camera, it's a bit strange. There's not even a chat here to respond to. Anyway, I'm sure it gets easier the more I do it. Stream was hard at first, but I got used to that over time. So I know I'll get used to something like this. And I enjoy doing them. I enjoy sharing casual thoughts while painting rather than just like purely super tutorial mode. Like, that's also great, but I don't always want to be in like teacher mode. I want to be in hangout mode with you all. Hangout mode is fun. It's relaxing. There's no pressure. I just feel like I can be myself. I mean, I am myself when I'm doing teacher mode too, but it's different. It's more focused and less chatty. Honestly, I think that's why I like streaming so much. Streaming is hectic and stressful at times, but when it comes down to it, it feels like hanging out with our friends. And I do truly miss that. That's one of the things I miss the most from way back in school days, and also just pandemic causing or taking that away from us. Okay, actually, I'm going to add a tiny bit of cobalt turquoise to my palette because I want it for just a bit of highlight on the water. Words, yes. The reason I want cobalt turquoise is because it's very beautiful. It can be a very beautiful sky color, and it's so much warmer than the cool blue I have down already, so that it will just really pop. Kind of experimenting with that part of the reflections. Neon, I mean, cobalt teal, cobalt turquoise light plus yellow makes the most intense neon green, which can be really useful, but also can be a bit much at times. But since I'm already going kind of crazy with color in this scene, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Sometimes when you exaggerate the colors in a scene, it evokes memory even stronger, but in like a storytelling way. If something is very realistic, it can still evoke memory, obviously, but it's a very different experience than if you're using colors that maybe aren't found in life so much in that situation. The brain will think, it'll see like purple in the shadows or whatever, whatever example you want to use, and it'll, in a split second, it'll know, okay, that is not reality, but it's still a forest, it still exists. So it'll kind of put pieces together and make it into a story in the mind. So I love that effect that art can have on us. It's very subconscious too, a lot of times. There we go. We have our very streamlined black sketch, black and white sketch, and then our crazy forest scene. Some kind of enchanted forest. I'd hang out here. I don't know about you guys. In fact, now I just really want to go for a walk in the forest. Who wants to go? Okay, let's just put some finishing touches on and call it a day. I think the only real announcement I wanted to let you guys know is that I am teaching a mini workshop, they call it, on the Etcher channel or the Etcher website. You have to sign up if you want to participate, and I'll be doing gouache snow scene tutorial. It's a gouache tutorial for painting snow, and I'll be walking you through, basically holding your hand through the whole process. I'm looking forward to it, but I'll put the link in the description if you're interested. Snow is a great subject for studying light in the landscape, which is why I chose that. So I hope to see some of you guys there. I already have a few people signed up, and it's April 11th, so we have a ways to go before that happens. But if you miss it, you can watch it after the fact. I'm not sure how much the price changes, but either way, it's still really affordable. It's like, I think all of it's under 10. But yeah, go check it out if you're interested. This is the point in the painting where you're supposed to yell at me, "Stop touching it, Sarah! Just step away! I'm trying." Okay, for real. Let's stop. Who knows what's gonna happen over here? Maybe nothing, maybe something. Well, you'll have to stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I had a lot of fun. Let me know if you have any questions or want to chat about anything in the comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.